Welcome back to Hot Air, the podcast that's equal parts spooky, sassy, and self-aware. Well, lately, it's been spooky. I'm your host, Joshua Robert, your friendly neighborhood horror homosexual, and today we're diving into the dark, glittery, blood-soaked world of queer horror icons and some sci-fi icons. It's Halloween season, as you're well aware, which means I have been watching way too many movies, drinking far too many spooky cocktails, and having deep existential thoughts like, why do the gays love a good villain? Why do we see ourselves in the monsters, the witches, the final girls, and the sassy sidekicks who refuse to die quietly? Today's episode is a celebration and dissection, if you will, of the top 10 characters and films that made horror and sci-fi gay as hell. From latex cat suits, wink wink, you know where I'm going with that, to telekinetic meltdowns, from slut-shaming revenge to bisexual chaos demons, we are getting into all that good, wonderful stuff. So grab a drink, dim the lights, maybe light a black candle or two, because this episode is all about the icons who taught us how to fight back fabulously. Let's hit it. So before we get into my top 10, this is my personal top 10. Some of these characters kind of blur the line between horror, and sci-fi. There's also some films in here that kind of encompass that queer pop culture attitude that we love from horror movies. And these are my personal top 10 that I love, that I quote. And I already did an episode about Scream. Otherwise, Ghostface and some characters from Scream would be on here. But this is a Scream-free episode as of right now. But who knows? I may have some throwbacks or some quotes in there as we continue that just might pop into the top of my head. And I'm sure some of you will disagree with this wonderful top 10. And I would love to know if you think that I missed somebody, or I missed a character or a film that you think would replace one of the characters or films that I'm talking about. So feel free to pop on my socials and let me know if you think that any of these do not belong or should be replaced with something else. So we're going to start counting down from 10, obviously all the way to number 1. And this is going to be just really fun and exciting. And I just live for all these characters so hard. Ride or die for these bitches. So let us begin. Number 10, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar. The thought of busting Batman makes me feel all dirty. Gotta go. Girl talk.
Selena.
That's my name, Maximilians. Don't wear it out or I'll make you buy me a new one. You poor guys. Always confusing your pistols with your privates. Oh, please. I wouldn't touch you to scratch you. Who's the man behind the bat? Maybe you can help me find the woman behind the cat.
I know this isn't really horror or sci-fi, but she is a badass villain. So let's talk about it. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in Batman Returns isn't just a character. She is a full-on gay awakening. She's trauma wrapped in latex. She's vengeance with a fucking manicure. She slinks, she snaps, she purrs, and she owns every inch of her pain. There's a quote she says, "Life's a bitch, now so am I." That line is so iconic. Every gay man heard that in 1992 and thought, oh, we're allowed to be that? We're allowed to be that bad bitch? And since then, every gay man has dressed up as Catwoman at one point or another. So the character Selena Kyle starts out timid. She's a secretary. She's dismissed, belittled. She's literally thrown out of a window by her boss, the patriarchy in a suit, played by Christopher Walken. And she dies, or sort of. And when she comes back, she is reborn, but not into some shining, virtuous version of herself. She comes back angry, sensual, and in control. That transformation That's the queer experience in a nutshell. You live your whole life being told to make yourself smaller, quieter, more acceptable. Then one day, something snaps, or maybe one day you fall out of a window, who's to say? And suddenly you realize no one's coming to save me. I have to save myself. It's gay trauma alchemy, pain to power, a self-made identity that does not apologize for taking up space. The confidence that she oozes as Catwoman is out of this world. And let's talk about that costume. Again, that almost every gay has either wanted to wear or has worn at some point. That stitched together latex catsuit. It's messy, it's imperfect, it's literally bursting at the seams. It's armor, but it's also art. She sews herself together from scraps, the way that queer people have always had to, taking what's broken, what's thrown away, and turning it into something absolutely fierce. The costume isn't sexy for men, it's sexy for her. She feels herself. She owns it. It's reclamation basically through kink. And that, my friends, is so fucking queer. Latex, power, gender play. She's channeling basically a drag queen. The way she performs her femininity is not submissive, it's domination as self-expression. And Michelle Pfeiffer didn't just walk so drag queens could strut. She cracked that whip and laid the runway. I am Catwoman, hear me roar. Remember that quote? Exactly. That is not just a line, that's her full-on mission statement. And quite frankly, I might adopt that to my mission statement. Catwoman is camp personified. The purring, the whip tricks, the licking of Batman's mask, it's all deliciously over the top. But what makes it genius is that underneath the camp is rage. It's real, relatable, exhausted rage. Queer people know that feeling. You've been underestimated, ignored, patronized, and then one day you flip the script. You turn the costume on, you make people pay attention, and that is Catwoman. And that duality, theatrically on the outside, pain on the inside, is the blueprint for a lot of drag performers, for queer performance, for survival through style. We put on these badass outfits. Lately, I've been playing a lot with my outfits and kind of wearing what I used to wear, something a little more edgy. Brings you so much confidence, and you put it on maybe nervously, but then you walk out the door and you strut. And now Batman, let's talk about him. Bless his emotionally unavailable heart. He doesn't know what to do with Catwoman. She's everything he represses: chaotic, sensual, morally gray. He wants her, but he can't handle her. Sound familiar? How many queer folks have been the too much person? The one someone wants in the dark, but won't claim in the daylight. Yeah, Catwoman lives in that tension. She's both the outcast and the object of desire. She flips the power dynamic. She's not waiting for validation. She's toying with it. And that's the difference between tragedy and triumph. She knows she's doomed. She knows it. And she still says, you know what? I'm going to look amazing while I burn this city down. There's also something inherently queer about having 9 lives. Reinvention after rejection. Each death a metaphor for a closet. You get pushed out, you come back sharper, sexier, louder, until the world finally takes you seriously. And the end of the film, I mean, if you haven't seen this, spoiler alert, she doesn't get the guy. She doesn't settle down. She disappears into the night, illuminated against the Gotham skyline, glowing, defiant, absolutely untamed. It's not a happy ending, but it's a powerful one. And she chooses herself. And that is queer liberation 101. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman became a blueprint for queer-coded villainy done right. Before her, female villains were punished for their sexuality. After her, they became icons because of it. She gave rise to Harley Quinn, who I absolutely love. To Poison Ivy, who I also love. I love female villains. I was Poison Ivy for Halloween once upon a time. She gave way to a whole generation of anti-heroines and drag performances. There's a reason that almost every gay man, like I said, has either been Catwoman for Halloween, dated someone who was Catwoman for Halloween, or wanted to be her. She's a mood, a fantasy, a reclamation of the words crazy and dangerous. She's not the villain, she is the response to, again, that patriarchy. And she's got better eyeliner than God, okay? Michelle Pfeiffer did not just play Catwoman, she gave queerness a mirror stitched together from pain, power, and PVC. And when we look into it, we see ourselves, our own survival story reflected back. Because sometimes the only way to live after being thrown out of a fucking window is to stitch yourself back together and purr. And I will always love Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman to the day that I die. Number 9, Mystique from the X-Men series.
You know, people like you are the reason I was afraid to go to school as a child.
Again, a little bit of a stretch, but sci-fi-ish, right? And Mystique, oh, I just love Mystique. I used to be so obsessed with her when I was a kid. I like to call her the ultimate queer shapeshifter. The character has existed in comic book form for decades, but it was the X-Men films, whether Rebecca Romijn or Jennifer Lawrence, that made her resonate with gay audiences. It was mostly the cartoons for me. I loved her from the get-go, but she resonated in a way that can only be described as life-affirming fabulousness. Mystique doesn't just change her appearance, she changes who she is on demand. And again, if that isn't the most queer-coded superpower ever, I don't know what is. She's hiding in plain sight, passing, performing, constantly negotiating identity. Anyone who's ever felt the pressure to blend in, to avoid judgment, that's her whole backstory, distilled into sleek, blue, scaly perfection. And let's talk about her look. The blue skin, the gold eyes, the bare naked body. This isn't just a sexy superhero costume for the straight gaze. No, it is power and confidence quite literally wrapped in vulnerability. She literally is herself and dares anyone to handle it. And the way she carries it, that is swag. She got swag. I haven't used that word in a really long time. And it's also drag. That's queer liberation in motion. Every step that she takes, every sly smirk, every glint in that yellow/gold eye is a statement. I am who I am, and I'm dangerous. And I know it. There's also the whole shape-shifting metaphor. Mystique can be anyone, but she chooses, most of the time, to be herself eventually. The way that many queer people live through layers of identity until they finally own their authentic self. And when she does, it's breathtaking, it's unapologetic, it's rebellion with a side of sass. And let's be real, how many gay kids saw her on the screen and thought, oh yes, this is me, all of me, and I'm allowed to be fabulous while I'm doing it. I can vouch for that. I loved watching her. Again, I didn't know why at the time, but looking back, totally makes sense. And her relationship with identity is inseparable from her relationship with others. She hides, she deceives, she protects herself, and she manipulates, all survival tactics. And yet underneath, there's this raw longing to be seen for who she really is. It's a little bit tragic and sad. It's empowering, it's campy, and it's deeply, deeply queer. But it's also, she's a sad character as well. And then there's the bisexual energy, which obviously we can't ignore. Mystique, she flirts, she fights, she allies, she seduces, and she betrays, often all in the same scene or on the same pages. She refuses to be contained in one box. She's simultaneously threat and desire, nemesis and lover, hero and anti-hero/villain. In a world obsessed with labeling, Mystique laughs in the face of definition. She exists outside of it, and for queer viewers, that is exhilarating. Her fight scenes, her confrontations, her quiet moments of reflection, all of it is choreographed in a way that emphasizes agency. She is never really a victim. She is never an accessory. Every motion is calculated. Every glance is loaded, and every transformation is a reclamation. You're going to hear that word a lot in this episode. She doesn't just survive in the X-Men universe, she thrives in her own way and on her own terms. And let's not forget the duality of Mystique's sexuality and power. She's fluid. She's dangerous. She's intoxicating. And she's feminine. She's masculine. She's seductive. She's terrifying. All at once. She teaches us that power isn't one thing. identity isn't one thing, and being queer isn't about fitting a mold. It's about refusing to fit at all. Mystique basically is the gender spectrum. And in many ways, Mystique is the character we all aspire to be when no one's watching. The confident, complicated, self-possessed version of ourselves that refuses compromise. She's rebellion and beauty, rage and grace, fluidity and performance. She's the mirror queer viewers look into and see themselves reflected back. Blue and scaly and uncontrollable. Mystique doesn't just shapeshift for fun. She shapeshifts for survival, for love, for vengeance, and for freedom. And in that, she is one of the greatest queer icons of modern cinema altogether. She does not need validation. She doesn't need permission. She just is. And that in itself is revolutionary. So the next time you watch Mystique on screen, remember that every flick of her tail, if she has a tail in whichever one you're watching, because sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't, every sly smile, every transformation is a celebration. It's a life lesson in owning your identity, your body, your power, and maybe, just maybe, that's exactly the reminder we all need this Halloween, and quite frankly, on any day of the year. Side note here, where the X-Men movies were filmed, the house, the big, what is that? I guess the school, Xavier's school, Professor X's school, it actually is in this little town in Canada that I grew up in called Oshawa, and it's called Parkwood Estates. And I used to go there with my friends after school, and we would just play in the grounds. They also filmed Billy Madison there, and Ready or Not, a few other ones too. I think Scooby-Doo might have been filmed there as well. But we used to just go there after school, me and my friends, when we were like in grade 6. We would run around the grounds. We would like just be playing near that pool and through the bushes and this and that. And that is one of the first places I actually had a spooky paranormal experience, which maybe I'll tell on the next episode. But anyway, fun fact, I used to hang out and play where Mystique, the character, was bebopping around. Moving on to number 8. Carrie White from the movie Carrie, the 1976 version.
Away! Stop it, Mama! Stop hurting yourself, Mama!
He's gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Look,
It's not too late. You can stay here with me.
I don't want to stay with you, Mama.
Look, I'll answer the door and I'll tell him that you're sick. I'll tell him that you changed your mind.
Sit down and be quiet!
Look, I'll tell him that you changed your mind.
Just sit there, Mama, and don't say a word until I'm gone.
Carrie was the original bullied outcast, the prom night telekinetic queen, the tragic blood-soaked icon that we did not know that we needed. Carrie doesn't ask to be a queer icon at all. She doesn't arrive with a manifesto or a soundtrack of empowerment. She just kind of just became this queer icon, and every queer person watching sees themselves in her. Shy, ostracized, misunderstood, constantly walking the tightrope between fear and desire. She starts out as painfully shy, hyper-religious, under the thumb of her mother who weaponizes shame like a club. She's different, and that difference is punished relentlessly. Bullied by her peers, mocked by boys, humiliated by society. Like, hello, if that isn't, it's not even a metaphor, but if that isn't a metaphor for queer experience, again, don't know what is. That's why she resonates so much. And then one night, she's just pushed too far. Pig's blood, the prom, and suddenly Carrie White becomes absolutely uncontainable. When her powers finally awaken, it's a slow, terrifying, and exquisite transformation. Telekinesis becomes a whole ass metaphor. Rage becomes her liberation. The same force that isolates her becomes the tool she wields to take back her narrative. And queer viewers get this on a molecular level. It's the fantasy of flipping the script on every system that ever tried to diminish you, and also sending pieces of electrical equipment flying around the gym and chopping bitches' heads off that used to bully the hell out of you. But let's not forget the camp, because there's so much camp in this film. The visual of prom goers screaming in terror, red-stained gowns, the horror of the glittering disaster. It's melodrama turned into art. There's tragedy, yeah, but there's also a lot of style, and the aesthetic of punishment turning into spectacle is, for us, pretty satisfying. I mean, for me, satisfying. And Carrie's story is also about duality, the shy girl versus this unstoppable force, the innocent versus this wild monster. Every queer person has felt that split, the side we show to the world and the side that we keep hidden, sometimes out of fear and sometimes out of necessity, depending on your life experience. And when the hidden side emerges, it's glorious, it's cathartic, and it's maybe a little terrifying to everybody else because they're like, who is this person? Where did this person come from? And Carrie's ending is dark, of course, because classic horror doesn't always reward the outcast, but the darkness is part of what makes her so resonant. Queer history is full of brilliance and tragedy intertwined. Carrie embodies both. She is vulnerable, misunderstood, and yet overwhelmingly powerful. She is pain transformed into agency. And we love her for it. Every telekinetic flip, every enraged gesture, every moment of chaos for her is declaration. You will not define me. That's what she says. I'm done with this. You will not control me. That's the energy that queer audiences have always recognized and revered. It's anger, again, liberation, self-expression, all wrapped up in a prom gown and a bath of blood. And even decades later, several movies, a TV show on the way, Carrie White remains a figure that speaks to queerness through metaphor, through rejection, through rage, through the raw power of being utterly, unapologetically yourself when the world has told you not to exist. Every scream, every shattering glass, every flying gym locker is the scream of every outsider who's ever wanted to flip the world upside down. And we cheer for her every single time. Add in that layer of religion and her mother pushing those beliefs on her. Lots of gays anywhere on the spectrum can relate with that. So when you watch Carrie, don't just see a horror movie. See a queer ritual. A cautionary tale, if you will, but also a fantasy of ultimate empowerment, because for every bullied outcast, every misfit, every closeted kid, Carrie White is saying, you are stronger than they will ever know, and when you finally rise, watch the fuck out, world. Moving on, number 7. I feel like a lot of people are going to want this a little higher on my list, but number 7 is Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise. Good old Sigourney Weaver.
Get away from her, you bitch!
The ultimate queer icon of sci-fi. And Ripley wasn't even written as a female character. She was just written as a character, a fully realized human being with agency, intelligence, and most importantly, the ability to survive when everyone else is essentially dead. And let's be honest, in a genre obsessed with punishing women for existing, for having bodies, for expressing emotions, Ripley is revolutionary. And she definitely gave way to powerful female characters in sci-fi. She doesn't need saving. She doesn't need validation. She doesn't need a romantic subplot to even justify her existence. She fights monsters, navigates corporate evil, and constantly survives situations that would have killed half the cast by minute 30. And for queer audiences, that independence is pure, uncut, inspirational energy. She's strength embodied. She's competence as a survival superpower. Let's talk about her queerness, like metaphorically speaking. Ripley lives in isolation, navigating a universe that constantly misunderstands her, underestimates her, and tries to control her. Sound familiar? How many queer people have felt like the only one in a hostile environment? The outsider who has to fight their own battles while everyone else ignores the danger until it's too late. That is Ripley. She's the ultimate outlier, the person who doesn't fit expectations, but thrives anyway. And there's not really a lot of sexualization of this character, which is groundbreaking. Her identity is not tied to being desired, and that lack of objectification is liberating. In a cinematic universe that is full of men, she sets the standard for queer-coded heroism. competent, capable, and complicated. Ripley shows us that being strong and surviving isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, and moral. Her power is her autonomy. Her heroism is her refusal to be anything but herself. Every choice Ripley makes, from confronting the xenomorph to protecting Newt to taking control of the Nostromo. Why does that sound weird? I think that's the name of the ship, right? Nostromo is how I want to say it. Anyway, it's all a statement. I define my destiny. And isn't that what queerness really is at its core? Taking control of your life, your body, your narrative, and saying, no one else writes my story. Ripley's also beautifully layered with vulnerability. She cares, she feels deeply, and yet she doesn't let those feelings make her weak. That duality, emotional depth plus unyielding strength, is a reoccurring queer fantasy. The idea that we can embrace sensitivity without surrendering power, that we can be soft and lethal at the same time, is like a dream. And let's not forget the subtext of chosen family here. Ripley's bond with Newt is iconic. It's protective, nurturing, fierce. The queer community has always relied on chosen family. People who see us, support us, and fight alongside us when the world will not. That bond between Ripley and Newt mirrors the dynamic perfectly. And finally, the aesthetics. Ripley is not flashy. She is practical. She's efficient. And yet, when she's in a spacesuit or wielding a flamethrower, there's a kind of understated, quiet badassery that commands attention. There's a lesson there. Queer power doesn't always need glitter or drag. Sometimes it's simply surviving, thriving, and refusing to be erased, and also looking badass while doing it. So, when you watch Ripley in Alien, don't just see a sci-fi heroine. See a blueprint for queer strength. See someone who refuses to be defined by others' expectations, who survives through ingenuity, courage, and sheer will. Ripley is the outsider who makes it, the final girl who wins, the badass we all aspire to be when the world wants us dead and when aliens try to kill us. She didn't just walk so other queer action heroines could run. She sprinted through space, flamethrower in hand, taking names and kicking alien ass. And now, number 6. This one's a movie. Jennifer's Body.
You want a snack? What's up, Vagisil?
My ass, Chip. You're just jello because you're not invited.
You're totally jello. You're lime green jello, and you can't even admit it to yourself.
You're not even out of the academy yet, Roman.
2 more months. Then I'm on the force for reals.
Yeah. You're wearing eyeliner. You look like a bunch of fagos.
But these things, these are like smart bombs. We play instruments really super good. How are you gonna get alcohol? I'll just play Hello Kitty with a bartender. MoveOn.org, Edie, it's over. Life is too short to be moping around about some white trash pilgrims. That's sweet, Jen. I am having the best day since, like, Jesus invented the calendar.
Wow, nice insult, Hannah Montana. You got any more hashtags? I am not insecure, needy. God, that's a joke. How could I ever be insecure? I was the snowflake queen.
I thought you only murdered boys.
I go both ways.
You got a tampon?
Finally, a movie that unapologetically screams queer energy from start to finish. And when it came out in 2009, people didn't really get it. Critics dismissed it, audiences didn't know how to categorize it, but over time, it has become a cult classic, specifically a queer cult classic. And honestly, it deserves every ounce of that love. And they're working on a sequel. Jennifer Check is pure chaos, a seductive, dangerous, murderous, brilliant mess. And the queer community saw themselves immediately. I mean, how can you not? Megan Fox is hot. Her performance is not just hot. It's not just scary. It's liberation embodied. Every smirk on her face, every bite, every confident stride down the hallway is rebellion in its most stylish form. And it's paired with needy Lesnicki, the best friend who is devoted, complicated, and secretly yearning, which gives us an electric tension that's dripping with bisexual and queer subtext. This movie is about power, desire, rage, and reclaiming autonomy from a world that dismisses women and queer people at every turn. Jennifer doesn't ask for permission. She doesn't care about societal rules. She's a literal demon, and she's having the time of her life. Every victim she takes down is metaphorically the toxic systems we've all had to navigate. The boys and the authority figures who underestimate us, the environments that dismiss difference. Jennifer bites back, quite literally, and she does it with a hell of a lot of flair. And this movie is so campy. The dialogue, the dark humor, the blood, the glittering high school drama. It's pure queer performance art. Jennifer's body turns horror into campy spectacle, but it's grounded in feminist rage and queer desire. That's why queer audiences love it. It's scary, yes. It's a good movie. I rewatched it not too long ago, but also liberating, and it's kind of hot. The whole thing is kind of hot, even when she's biting people's heads off. Now let's talk identity, because this is where it gets really interesting. Jennifer is constantly negotiating who she is: a victim, a predator, a friend, a monster. And that duality resonates for queer viewers who have spent their lives navigating the mask society forces them to wear. She is dangerous and sexual, smart, quirky, funny, vulnerable, all at once. There's no box that contains her, and she refuses to let anybody try. And try they might, and she shoots that shit right down. And let's also not overlook the relationship with Needy. It's tender, charged, complicated, a queer-coded love story wrapped inside a horror movie. There's longing, jealousy, devotion, and betrayal. It's messy and real, like queer relationships often are in fiction, because they rarely get the space to explore depth outside stereotypes. Jennifer and Needy are two sides of desire and friendship, and it resonates because it feels pretty truthful. Jennifer's body is also about revenge and liberation. Jennifer is a demon, yes, but she's also reclaiming her power in a world that has tried to control her. Queer audiences get this instinctively. The survival, the anger, the reclaiming of agency, all packed in blood, a lot of sass, and some leather skirts. So, when you watch Jennifer's Body, don't just see a horror movie about a killer cheerleader. See a queer anthem, a celebration of messy femininity, sexual liberation, and unapologetic power. It's very camp. It's a little scary. It's sexy. It's deeply, undeniably queer. And Jennifer Check isn't just a villain. Again, she is a mirror. She is a mood, a rebellious spirit we all want to channel at least once in our lives. Maybe not actually biting people's heads off, though. Next up, number 5, Dr. Frank-N-Furter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Brad and Janet, what do you think of him?
Well, I don't like men with too many muscles.
I didn't make him for you. It's not easy having a good time. Even smiling makes my face ache. So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
Dr. Frank-N-Furter is the one, the only, the fabulous mad scientist from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And when I say iconic, I don't even think that word does him any justice. Frank isn't just a character. He is an attitude. He's a lifestyle. Glitter, leather, corsets, heels, chaos, all wrapped into one unforgettable persona. And for queer audiences, he is quite simply a gift from the cinematic gods. From the moment he slinks into the room with that teasing eyebrow and commanding presence, Frank-N-Furter says, "I'm everything you secretly want to be and more." He's unapologetic, unashamed, and utterly untouchable. He owns his sexuality, his body, his desires, and his intellect. And in 1975, that was revolutionary. He did not need to fit into society's rules or anyone's expectations. He defined the rules, made up his own, really. And again, like a lot of films that I'm talking about and characters, there's a lot of camp, especially in Rocky Horror Picture Show. Every line of dialogue is dripping with double entendre. Every gesture is over-the-top perfection. Every costume change is a celebration of self-expression. And queer audiences know this isn't just theatrics. This is survival, performance, identity, and joy all rolled into one sequin drag queenish package. Drag queenish. Frank teaches us that being seen is power, that playing with gender and sexuality, again, is liberation, and that confidence is the ultimate weapon. But there's also way more than just camp here. There's intellect, there's audacity, there's more rebellion than one can handle. Frank is a mad scientist, but he's also a creator. He creates life. He creates desire. He creates spectacle. He doesn't just occupy space, he commands it. And for queer viewers who have often been told to shrink and to hide and to tone down their brilliance, Frank is catharsis personified. He doesn't apologize, he doesn't compromise, and he certainly doesn't fade quietly into the background at all. He is an explosion of identity, and we certainly need that energy, and definitely needed it in the 70s before it was, a little bit more acceptable to be who we are now. And then there's the seductive danger. Frank-N-Furter teaches us that desire is power. He blurs boundaries, breaks rules, and challenges morality, all while keeping us laughing, squirming, and cheering at the same time. That's queer genius right there. Making subversion fun, sexy, and memorable. His relationship with the other characters is layered with camp, romance, and even more chaos. And it resonates because it mirrors the messy, electrifying complexity of queer life and the relationships we have with others around us. There's desire, flirtation, betrayal, devotion. It's all heightened and it's all fabulous. Frank-N-Furter is simultaneously mentor, lover, provocateur, and rebel. He does not fit into one category, and he doesn't let anyone else put him in one either. And the lasting legacy? Let's be honest. Frank-N-Furter changed everything. Drag culture, queer cinema, Halloween costumes, midnight showings, cult fandom. All of it was shaped by this blue-eyed, corseted, mad genius. Every gay kid, every outsider, every misfit who ever felt like they didn't belong sees him and thinks, yeah, that's me. I can exist on my own terms. And not, yeah, that's me in the sense that physically or visually, but what they embody. So when you watch Rocky Horror Picture Next time and you see Frank-N-Furter strut across the screen, remember that he is more than a character. He's a declaration, and a glittering, leather-clad, corset-wearing declaration that you can be bold, be sensual, be dangerous, be funny, be smart, and still be adored. Frank-N-Furter is chaotic and joy, and it's genius. That character is absolute genius. And that is why he will always reign supreme in queer pop culture. And now we move on to my lucky number 4, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Hello, darling. It's me again, yours truly, Elvira. That gal with the enormous, ratings. Oh, boy, could you believe that cheesy-looking monster? Looked like Gumby on steroids. Well, at least the movie had a moral. And until then, this is Elvira, the gal who put the boob back in the boob tube, saying, unpleasant dreams.
I'm using the word camp so much in this episode, but Elvira is the queen of camp, the undisputed empress of Halloween. Like, there's no denying that. And honestly, the ultimate queer hero that we know we needed and we got. Cassandra Peterson didn't just create a character, she created a cultural force. With her jet black beehive, plunging neckline, and irreverent humor, Elvira showed the world that horror could be sexy, funny, and subversively queer all at the same time. Like a lot of the other characters in this list, Elvira is fearless. She is bold, she's witty, and she's dripping with self-awareness. From her first appearance, she commands attention. She's a horror hostess, yes, but she's also a performer, a comedian, an icon, and a walking celebration of outsider energy. She takes something traditionally spooky, like the dark, the grave, the macabre, and turns it into a playground for glamour, sass, and empowerment. And that, my friends, is very, very queer. And I fucking live for that shit. I think that's also why I love decorating for Halloween, because you take these dark images, skulls, coffins, claws, these things, but you make them hot and sexy and fun. Her humor is sharp and unflinching. She mocks the patriarchy, skewers societal norms, and reminds us that intelligence and sexuality are not mutually exclusive. Every quip, every wink, every double entendre is a subtle rebellion. She is in control, she is desirable, and she will not be dismissed. Queer audiences instantly recognize themselves in that energy. The outsider who refuses to conform, who wields wit and charm as weapons, and who owns the stage in a world that often tells them that they should shrink. Elvira is a master of self-expression. Her costume, her hair, her makeup. These are not just aesthetics. They're armor, identity, and performance all at once. She demonstrates that embracing your own flamboyance and embracing your own darkness, your own weirdness, is not just acceptable, it can be very revolutionary. That message resonates so deeply because visibility and self-possession are powerful acts of defiance, and they feel so good. And as I said, Elvira, she thrives in camp. The exaggerated gestures, her over-the-top reactions, the theatrical timing, it's all a celebration of performance and audacity. Queer viewers understand that camp isn't just humor. It's a way of survival. It's a way to navigate the world while reclaiming joy and style on your own terms. And Elvira embodies that principle perfectly. Her relationship with horror is also instructive. She does not shy away from the macabre. She completely embraces it. She turns fear into entertainment. She turns darkness into comedy, and she makes a spectacle of death. That mirrors the queer experience in a metaphorical sense, taking the things that society deems shameful or frightening and turning them into a source of pride, identity, and full-out joy. Then beyond the aesthetics and the humor, Elvira's energy as a whole is just contagious. She's unapologetic about who she is. She owns her sexuality and her power in a way that inspires viewers to do the same. Every time she enters the screen, every little quip that comes out of her mouth, every deadpan stare is a reminder that it is okay to be bold, it's okay to be different, and to revel in your own fucking weirdness. Be weird. So, when you watch Elvira next, remember, she's more than a horror hostess. She is a blueprint for queer confidence and confidence across the board. She's camp, she's glamour, sass, and she is empowerment rolled into one jet black beehive. She reminds us that being different isn't just okay, it's a superpower. And for many, many decades, Elvira has been showing queer audiences how to wield that power with style, humor, and unflinching confidence. All right, we are getting to the top 3 of this list. I feel like I've been talking for 17 hours, but top 3, these are like 3 undeniable, not only films / TV shows, but characters. So, number 3, The Craft.
Now's the time, no sleep. Now's the time, now's the hour. Ours is the magic, ours is the power.
So watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Earth, air, fire, water, air.
As above,
So below.
The ultimate teenage witch movie that somehow magically became a queer touchstone for an entire generation, myself included. On the surface, it's about 4 girls dabbling in witchcraft and power and revenge. But for queer audiences, it's about identity, rebellion, and the intoxicating thrill of finally owning your power. I live for The Craft. The sequel was awful, but we're not talking about the sequel. I couldn't even pick a character from The Craft. So the movie as a whole, who doesn't want to be a fucking hot witch? Each of the girls is an outsider in her own way. They're misunderstood, underestimated, and navigating worlds that constantly try to control them. Again, does that sound familiar? Queer teens have long identified with this feeling of being invisible, of being told to conform, to stay quiet, to blend in, and then these girls discover magic, and suddenly they can change the world. That's a metaphor queer audiences instantly get, reclaiming agency, shaping reality, and demanding recognition. And let's talk about the aesthetics, because The aesthetics are everything. The goth outfits, the dark eyeliner, the mystical rituals, the stormy weather. It's style. It's so fucking good. And it's about transforming what society labels as weird or dangerous into a very powerful statement of identity. The girls are sexy, they're mysterious and dangerous, and queer viewers, like me, see themselves in that combination of allure and defiance. Like, I want to dress that way every day, all day. The dynamic between the girls also resonates deeply. There's friendship, loyalty, jealousy, desire, and a whole lot of betrayal. It's super messy, it's heightened, it's electrifying. Queer audiences recognize that intensity from the chosen families, the tight-knit circles, and the communities that protect and define us when the outside world rejects us. Sarah, Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle aren't just witches. They're icons of female empowerment, queer solidarity, and the joy of unapologetic self-expression. Then there's the subtext, subtle but powerful. Sexuality and experimentation and fluidity weave throughout this film. The way the girls interact, the intensity of their bonds, and the energy of their power is all coded queer. It's not overt, but it feels truthful to anyone who's navigated adolescence while feeling different, dangerous, and endlessly powerful in private. And the revenge arcs? Iconic. There's nothing like seeing the girls turn the tables on the people who hurt them. That fantasy of flipping the world upside down and finally claiming control, just like in Carrie, is intoxicating for a queer viewer who felt marginalized, mocked, or dismissed. Magic becomes metaphor for agency, and chaos becomes a form of liberation. I have a story to tell in a second. I'll tell it at the end of explaining the craft. Finally, let's not forget the tone. The craft balances horror, teen drama, and empowerment in a way that's unmistakably queer-coded. It's dark, it's hilarious, it's stylish, it's thrilling. It teaches us that embracing your darkness, your power, and your identity is not just acceptable, it can be transformative, leading you to become the person you always knew that you were. So, when you watch The Craft, remember, this is not just a teenage horror movie. It's a queer manifesto. It's a celebration of outsider energy, of female friendship, of owning your fucking magic, and of turning rage and pain into full-blown power. For generations of queer viewers, it showed that being different is not a curse. It's actually the ultimate superpower. And speaking of taking revenge in high school on people that bullied you, I was one of those people that went through my, this is going to seem really dark, but then when I get to the punchline, it's not that dark. Went through my yearbook, and there were certain people that bullied me. Devin, Matt, there was two Devins, Matt, bunch of other fucking people. And I circled their faces in my yearbook. And my mom found it and was like, "Are you going to do something crazy? Like, are you going to kill these people?" And I was like, "No, I was going to fill a eye drop bottle with water, and I was going to try and spray it on their pants and make it look like they beat themselves." At least in my mind, I was going to do that. I don't think I had the balls at the time to do it. I was in grade 8, but I was like, no, I'm not a violent human. I just want to embarrass them. And so if I could go back, I would probably make it look like they peed themselves, but perhaps in another life. But that really is what I took from The Craft. It makes you feel like such a badass, and you just want to embody that type of magical revenge without killing anyone. And now we're getting down to the wire. Number 2. I think everyone will agree. Freddy Krueger.
Prime time, bitch! I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch. We'll see, bitch. Bon appetit, bitch. Come. Ooh, this, bitch. Let me handle this, bitch. It's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet. Welcome to my world, bitch. Die, little bitch. Think you're so smart, huh, bitch?
The nightmare in the striped sweater, the razor-fingered terror who haunts Elm Street, and yes, somehow, he's also very queer in a way that resonates with the community and always has. And before you gasp, just like hear me out, okay? Freddy isn't about conventional horror power. He's about psychology, identity, and subversion, all things queer audiences have historically understood. Freddy lives in the realm of dreams, a space that's fluid, surreal, and terrifying. He breaks the rules of reality, slips between worlds, and manipulates perception at will. Queer people have long navigated similar terrains, a society that denies, polices, and punishes identity, forcing us into private, liminal spaces where we exist fully on our own terms. Freddy thrives in that in-between. He's a master of transformation and surprise, which, let's be honest, is very gay. And there's his whole aesthetic, the red and green sweater, the hat, the burned face, the gloves with knives. It's grotesque, it's flamboyant, and it is very, very theatrical. Also unforgettable. He's horror, but he's also like performance art in a way. Every entrance, every taunting line, every stretch across a ceiling or a wall is camp personified. Freddy teaches us that terror can kind of be like a little glamorous, and fear can also be very entertaining, and chaos can be a tiny bit stylish. The subtext of Freddy's power is equally fascinating. He attacks people in their most vulnerable state, when they're asleep. He thrives in their private worlds, places where they're exposed, uncontrolled, and unseen, and that mirrors a lot of the queer experience. The power dynamics between society and identity, between secrecy and self-expression. Freddy is frightening, right? We know that. But he's also a reflection of the outsider wielding influence in a world that tries to suppress them. This is getting real film school student-y. So let's talk about the humor. Let's talk about all the quips, all the funny lines that Freddy has. He has his whole own brand of terror that comes with dark comedy. He has so many witty one-liners, the ghoulish puns, the playful malevolence. It's very, very camp. It's very, very queer. Queer audiences have always loved that balance of danger and his sass. He's terrifying, but he's also performing. He's showing us that style, wit, and audacity can exist even in the darkest of circumstances. And finally, Freddy's legacy is queer adjacent because of his subversive sexuality. He's predatory, yes, but in a way that upends traditional horror tropes. He exists outside heteronormative constraints. He flirts with chaos, manipulation, and danger, embodying desire as a weapon. That unpredictability and transgression of norms is, well, again, very, very gay. And he flirts with men and women equally in these films. He makes everything a little bit sexual, so he's probably very fluid. So when you watch Freddy Krueger, well, when you watch Nightmare on Elm Street next, don't just see a nightmare villain. See a queer icon of subversion, of theatrical art, performance, and psychological power. He reminds us that identity can be fluid, reality can be bent, and surviving, even thriving, sometimes requires embracing ya darkness. Freddy teaches us that being feared, admired, and flamboyantly in control is not only possible, but it can be a hell of a lot of fun. All right, you guys, we made it. Number one, like this character has been so huge in my life, a staple of sarcasm, somebody I literally pretended to be when I was younger. I would play with my sisters. We would play games where it would be characters from this TV show. And this just is the ultimate horror / sci-fi queer icon. Drum roll. This is my imaginary drum roll on my other plastic sheen shirt. All right. Number one, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, absolutely duh.
First of all, I'm a vampire slayer. And secondly, I'm retired. Hey, I know. Why don't you kill him?
I'm a watcher. I haven't the skill.
Oh, come on. Stake through the heart, a little sunlight. It's like falling off a log.
A slayer slays. A watcher...
Watches?
Yes. No.
What do you want?
The same thing you do.
Okay. What do I want?
To kill him. To kill them all.
Sorry, that's incorrect. But you do get this lovely watch and a year's supply of turtle wax. What I want is to be left alone. Got anything that could make this day any worse?
About the end of the world.
Knew I could count on you. There's something you forgot about, too. Sunrise. It's in about 9 hours, moron.
Of which you enslave yourself to this cult?
You don't like the color?
You know what the saddest thing in the world is?
Bad hair on top of that outfit. I can just tell something's wrong. My spider sense is tingling.
Your spider sense.
Pop culture reference. So I have to meet my terrible fate.
What?
Biology.
The Slayer, the chosen one, the ultimate queer-coded hero of horror and teen drama alike. Buffy isn't just a vampire hunter. She is the blueprint for fucking strength, resilience, and sass. The sass is like wild. She walks the line between high school drama and apocalyptic states, balancing identity, love, and responsibility in a way that resonates with anyone who's ever felt like they're living in two worlds at once. And now I'm talking about Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy. I know there's a movie. Movie's great, but I'm just really talking about Sarah Michelle Gellar here. Buffy is extraordinary because she is relatable. She's strong, but she's also very vulnerable, and she struggles with relationships, identity, grief, and responsibility. And she does it all while taking down literal monsters. Queer audiences instantly recognize that tension, the need to be brave in the face of danger, to be yourself when the world expects conformity, to fight battles nobody else sees. Buffy embodies that duality perfectly. And Buffy's strength isn't tied to being male-coded or traditionally heroic. She wields power in a way that is emotional, intellectual, and physical. She's smart, funny, witty, and unafraid to challenge authority. All of those traits resonate with the queer community because we often have felt that we had to navigate societal expectations with some nuance and some cunning. Her strength isn't just about punching vampires or stabbing them in the heart. It's about surviving systems that try to control her and then claiming her own identity at the same time. And while Buffy is a badass, she isn't just a badass. She is so funny. Her sarcasm, her one-liners, her dramatic reactions to vampire chaos, it's all a form of performance. She's self-aware without being pretentious, capable of enormous courage while also laughing at the absurdity of the world around her. Queer audiences know that humor can be survival. I know this. I use humor all the time to deflect, and Buffy wields it as skillfully as she wields a stake. I mean, for goodness sakes, Buffy is the first person to say, Google it. Like, come on. Her relationships are layered, and they're very complex. They're full of love, tension, and longing. From Willow's evolution to Buffy's romantic entanglements, she navigates friendship, desire, and loyalty in ways that feel very authentic. There's a recognition that love is not always simple, that identity can be fluid, and that chosen family, like she chooses, can be equally as important, if not more, than biological ties. Buffy embodies those dynamics so perfectly, teaching lessons about trust, self-acceptance, and the power of community. And of course, let's not forget the aesthetics. Leather jackets, plaid miniskirts, stakes, and a sun-soaked Californian backdrop might seem mundane, but combined with her presence and attitude, Buffy becomes a symbol of cool, approachable badassery. She shows that heroism doesn't have to be dour or grim. It can be stylish, witty, and deeply human. That balance of strength and relatability is exactly why queer audiences gravitate towards her and likely always will. Buffy also embodies resilience. She dies, literally, and comes back. I think she dies a few times. She comes back. She faces loss and betrayal, and she keeps on going. That cynical confrontation with adversity mirrors the queer experience in, again, a metaphorical sense. Surviving these repeated challenges, reclaiming identity, and continuously asserting your presence in a world that does not always make space for you. So, when you watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer next, don't see a teen fighting monsters. I mean, see that, but also see a queer icon of strength, humor, resilience, and a hell of a lot of heart. She reminds us that being powerful doesn't mean losing yourself, that identity is something you defend, and that surviving and thriving sometimes requires a combination of wit, courage, and a lot of sass. So, there you have it. I am winded. I have a headache. I'm absolutely winded. 10 characters who made horror and sci-fi a little bit gayer, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of bit gayer, made it a bit weirder, and a hell of a lot more powerful. These characters didn't just survive. They transformed, transcended, and thrived in spaces meant to destroy them, which, let's be honest, is pretty much the queerest thing imaginable. Now remember, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your coven or your ghost boyfriend or that one friend who still insists they're not into horror but secretly loves Elvira. Spread the word. This is the second last spooky season episode. I'm a little sad, but I'm also a little excited to get back to bitching and complaining about politics. Make sure you're following me on Instagram @_hotairpod, also on TikTok @_hotairpod. Submit your listener stories on my website to be read on future episodes, hotairwithjoshuarobert.com. Like, subscribe, leave a review wherever you are listening to this episode. It's very, very helpful. So, until next time, I'm Joshua Robert. Thank you for listening to Hot Air, and I'm just here to remind you to stay spooky, stay sexy, and stay a little bit unhinged, and also very sarcastic and sassy. And I will see you next Tuesday.